everybody, Brian here from Military Mobility. Welcome to the Land Rover LR3 Shootout. This is where we're comparing the Land Rover air suspension against a coil conversion. Today we're out here, we're going to be focusing out in the sand. Now, sand is an often overlooked part of overlanding or off-roading in general, but it's one that can have heavy consequences. Safety is paramount for us and what we do when we run our courses or when we're giving advice to folks. Sand is where people will often overstep their bounds. It's fun, right? So you're out there, you're moving and grooving, you're getting some speed, and with speed comes heavy consequences. Sand has an unresponsiveness to it. So when you're making those turns, the inputs are slightly delayed. People will often misinterpret that for, hey, I need to be turning more, and they do that, and when everything catches up, you'll have a vehicle rollover. We don't want that to happen for anybody. And what we're trying to do is put out the best information here of what are the limitations here of the coil sprung LR3, the gray one we have here, versus the black one. Some of you might be taking, trips here and there where you're hitting the big sand dunes. Sand might be a part of your daily driving routine of where you live on an unimproved road that has some big sandy washes. We're excited to share this with you. Please come along for this journey today as we're out here in the sand with these two LR3s, coil versus air. Let's see who the winner is. Here we are in the sandy wash. I'm in sand mode. 4 high. Let's see what she got. Holding, very stable. Woo! We're at 40. What's some of the common mistakes people make out here in sand?
Overturning. They turn too fast, and in a corner they don't stay on the throttle. If you don't stay on the throttle, you don't have that front end pulling for you, you'll just kind of plow into the corners. You got to stay with the throttle, feather a little brake in there to help shut it down, but you got to stay on the throttle to make them turn.
And then, because if you don't do that, you fall into this overcompensating.
What happens, people make a lot of mistakes, is they'll come into a turn and they'll turn it where they think it should, and the vehicle's not responding, so they'll turn more, and then it'll suddenly respond and it'll dig in. I've seen people toss them on the roof because they turn too sharp, that front end digs in and tosses them. Turn it to where you think it should, give it a chance to respond, because a lot of times it will come around for you, and most of the times it will. If you keep turning, when it does respond, it's going to respond too hard. It's going to come off the inside.
Hopefully y'all are seeing Webb and I when we're driving, and I think that shuffle steering comes into play there. If you're the kind of person that's doing this number or crossing your hands over, it oftentimes, even if you want to be measured, those movements, we've just seen from experience with most drivers, you tend to oversteer with that. When you're doing the shuffle steering and feeding one hand to the other, that allows you to maintain that measured control for what you need.
I have to say, I'm pleasantly surprised on how well the Coil LR3 is handling the extra weight of the ARB front bumper and 10,000-pound winch. If you've watched our earlier videos, you know these vehicles are both 2008 LR3 HSEs, with the only difference besides the air and coil suspension being the Coil has an aftermarket bumper, winch, and awning. As well as the Coil's driving, I can't wait to see how the air does.
All right, I'm loving it. So, I've been really impressed with the coils. Let's let you and I flip-flop here and see how it does. What was your impression?
Felt normal.
I had no complaints. I just had a bunch of fun. It was handling really well. I never at any point felt out of control. We were up to 45 miles an hour. You can see this is a big sandy wash and pretty deep sand right there. Steering always felt great. Damping was great. I never was bottoming out the springs or the struts.
No, so. Never bottomed out. It actually felt good.
No complaints. Yeah, felt really great. Felt confident, fun. Felt like I could have went faster, much faster if we needed to. But I think it's great for the purposes of this test. So we're gonna swap it up. Hey, Brian from Military Mobility here with Webb today. We're going to be discussing sand recovery techniques. Webb?
we're working with basically 3 different types. They all have their advantages, okay? And they all have their disadvantage. The plastic are nice, they're light, they're easy to use, they've got good bite to them. Both brands, pretty good, all right? The disadvantage that I have to the plastic ones is in the soft mud, they seem to bend a little more. I've had them out at about -10, and they seem to be a little brittle when it's that cold.
And as an example, we have the trits here, and that did happen on this one right here.
Okay, that seems to be the weak link for them, is very, very cold. Okay, but hey, they're light, they're easy to use. A lot of people out there using them. Those people out there who do not like petroleum, it is plastic, so guess what? It is a petroleum product. The other one I like, I prefer the aluminium if you Brits like it. Now, if you're really going to use them, 4 is not enough. You got 4 tires on the vehicle, unless you're just going 1 out, that's great, but you need 8. You need 4 to get up on and 4 to travel on. So we'll kind of demonstrate on what we're going to do here is we happen to have 4 of these and 4 of these.
Or else you're going to make yourself in for a long day of just kind of rinse, repeat, recycle with this process.
You're going to get up on them, you're going to drive off of them. If it's soft, you're going to lift your car again with whatever you're using, put them back under it, drive off of them. It's going to be a long day. But if you're going to buy them and use them, get 8.
What are we thinking about when we're looking at placement for these?
On placement, well, we want to go forward. So we will take one here.
And we're trying to anchor as best as we can underneath that tire, so when the tire does start to spin, it bites and pulls.
It bites and pulls itself up. If we were in a bad situation, I would probably, we have a little sand on it, I would pull that sand off so we get a better bite if it was just mud. But this will work out real well. And we'll use this one. And let's go with one of the plastic ones also. All right, now, placement of these are important. Don't go here. You go on top, it will come up here and it'll stand that one up underneath the car. There. And you can just drive right on it, keep going. Always stick it back underneath. If we have to keep going, let's use this one. Right there. As we come up and we get onto the black ones, we'll stop. We'll take the aluminum and lay them in front of the tires and keep going. This is your ideal spot. Let's say this is continuing to be soft. We grab these. We put it here. All right, come on forward. Stop. We're only doing one side here, but in real soft stuff, this is what you continue to do until you get out. All right, we're out of the mud. Survival.
If you have any ideas or techniques of something you'd like to see Military Mobility perform, please let us know down in the comments or message us and we'd be happy to work it out.
After we switched vehicles, I immediately felt a difference riding on the air suspension. I was a bit surprised by the additional bouncing of the air suspension, possibly due to its plushness and what makes the ride quality so enjoyable in all other terrains. Stiffer coils retained a more sporty and in-control feeling, allowing me to drive with more confidence. Let me be clear, the air isn't bad, but I was definitely more concerned with control at higher speeds.
I like the coils better. Like, clearly, I like the coils better. It's not that this was bad. Let's talk about the Webb. So, I like the coils better in the sand.
I like in this rough sand with all the side-by-side whoops in it. I think the coils look better in the air.
Yeah.
Like, by a bunch.
It seemed, again, not that it was bad or horrible ride quality. This just seemed more stable and refined. I just felt like I was, more controllable. I felt like I was getting bounced around a little bit more on the air. If the other cameras didn't catch it, I was telling Webb, I was throttling it pretty good. And I'm in four-wheel drive high in the sand mode, and I hit the throttle, and the engine just kind of died on me a little bit. I don't know if we have it on video. There was this lag, and he said that's the terrain response system. And how do you defeat that?
Feathering a little brake, mostly just enough to get the brake lights on, and that will defeat the traction control, and it'll allow the engine to come along.
Okay, because that's the computer trying to figure everything out. I'm probably
the computer's cutting power back because it's saying it's too slick.
Okay.
So it's just actually trying to get traction.
Okay, it's trying to find some traction, and I'm trying to be a cool guy and get some speed here in this.
Yeah.
All right, nice. Well, I think a clear winner. Sorry, air suspension, but the clear winner in this one was definitely the coil sprung LR3 in this heavy sand. Definitely at speed, for sure. Again, not that this one was bad, but just way more controllable.
Predictable.
Yeah, more predictable. That's a great word for it. So there you have it. All right, episode 4 is in the books. We had so much fun out there in the sand. The coil sprung LR3 shined through, was superior. Sorry, stock air suspension, go home. And we have for the coils, it's our first standalone winner. And our overall score is tied at 2-2. Stay tuned for next week as we hit the highway and see who's going to be the winner in air versus coil.
Calling all Land Rover owners, Military Mobility is hosting our Land Rover Essential Training Course in Moab. We'll be covering advanced driving techniques, vehicle recovery, navigation, life-saving field medicine, and bush mechanic skills. You will work as a team to complete adventure challenges and overcome obstacles. You'll be trained by Land Rover driving instructors, Camel Trophy participants, and military special operations personnel from all branches. Any level of vehicles and experience are welcome, from stock to locked. Go to militarymobility.com to reserve your spot. Military Mobility is a 501c3 nonprofit that specializes in expeditions and training. Your participation will save a life that has pledged to save yours.